Podcast, your source for everything iRacing, including race reviews, driver interviews, opinions, discussions, and much more. Here's your host, Mike Ellis.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I am your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Chewy Side 55, Carlos Fonseca, Kyle Fleischman, and special guest, George Enzaldo. Hey, guys.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for joining us, George.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, so let's get right to it. When did you start on iRacing, and how did you hear about it?
Actually, I started iRacing April 23rd of 2013. Been a long-time sim racing fan. I actually, old school PC gamer, started off sim racing with Indy 500, the simulation, the old Papyrus game, IndyCar Racing 1 and 2. And just through the years, really, IndyCar racing sims was few and far between. There were some arcade-style games on some console systems, and it just really left me lacking for some true IndyCar racing. And so late at night, one night, I was just on my computer, and I just happened to punch in IndyCar simulation, and lo and behold, sure enough, iRacing pops up, and I see it, and it's already been out for a little while. I'm like, how did I miss this? And I was just absolutely blown away. And it was my main goal and my main purpose when I joined iRacing to get into IndyCar racing, because I am such a huge fan of the sport.
Yeah, it is interesting how there's not very much marketing going on with iRacing. It seems like nobody ever knows about it, until they stumble on it, kind of thing. And I think I remember hearing about it for the first time on NASCAR, like Dale Jr. was talking about it or something.
I agree, and I think that's one of the things that, unfortunately, motorsports in general seems like a very close-knit group. It's, as a whole, I don't feel it's very mainstream, but that's one of the things that I also love about it, because I found such a really great group of guys that share the same or similar passion for motorsports and auto racing that I've been wanting to find for so long. And when I was growing up, I've been an IndyCar fan since I was a kid, and none of my friends or other people that I knew really shared that similar interest. And I was so happy to actually find like-minded individuals here on iRacing. One of the other things too, as far as iRacing in general, people now, there's social media and everyone is so passionate about sim racing. You see a lot of guys posting messages of their wins or pictures of their cars and whatnot. And I've had several coworkers actually think that I was racing Indy cars in real life. And so it just goes to show how realistic the sim is, and actually having to tell people, hey, no, it's virtual.
Yeah, they see the picture and they think it's a real Indy car, don't they?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool how that works out. All right, well, how often do you race?
Well, I probably get in maybe about 2 to 3 races a week. Primarily, though, my main focus is the Lionheart IndyCar Series, our league that we run on Wednesday nights. The league is so competitive that I literally have to practice, pretty much every day leading up to these events, just so I can, compete against some of the guys that we have in the series.
Okay, so you run the league on Wednesdays. Are you running other series? Do you normally run, or?
Yeah, every once in a while I'll pop my head into an official fixed IndyCar race. We also have a side series that we run through our league. We run the MX5s on Thursday nights, and we run that combination of ovals, road courses, and rovals, the road/oval combination. And every once in a while on Saturdays, I'll run the Kart Retro Series. It's another league. They run the Lotus 79. And it's just something about the open wheel style of racing has just really captivated me. I enjoy it so much.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about the league a little bit. I've actually heard of Lionheart. I think from my knowledge about it is when you guys started earlier in the year, there was a lot of talk about some real IndyCar drivers joining you. Is that correct?
Well, it's more of an overall hope and a goal. You know, the 16th Street obviously has the participation with the Real World IndyCar Series, and that's such an amazing thing. It's something that we would, obviously one day we would love to have a real world driver come and participate in any one of our sessions. So it's definitely a future goal. We'll see if that ever happens. If not, we still have some amazing racing with the guys that we have.
Well, absolutely. So it says here it's your fourth season as this league. So does that mean like years? Like you've been how long has this league been around?
Our league has been around for a little over 2 years. We actually started about 2.5 years ago now, and our first race we ran at Michigan, and and so we're going strong. One year we actually ran 2 seasons in the same calendar year, but we're actually finishing up our fourth season here in the middle part of November. And I couldn't be happier. I mean, we've been going strong. Where I've seen, unfortunately, a lot of other leagues have folded. I think part of that is because we really have a great group of guys helping me on the admin side. There's a lot of structure. The members are participating, and so I like I said, I just couldn't be happier with the results and what we've built here. And officially we started July 1st of 2014.
Nice. And looking at your members, you got quite a few, 4 pages of them on the league page. So what is your participation on Wednesdays?
Well, we have a 40 driver official roster. And from the beginning of the season, actually pretty much throughout the history of the league, we've averaged no fewer than about 30 to 35 cars every race. Certain tracks don't favor some guys, but again, as a whole, like I said, it's very, very seldom that you'll see fewer than 30 cars out every week.
That's a great turnout for a league, I tell you. A lot of these leagues, they start out with really good turnouts and they dwindle down by the end of the season. But boy, if you're still pulling 30 plus cars, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's something that we're very, very proud of. Obviously, like I was telling Kyle earlier, even in real IndyCar racing, I mean, other than the Indianapolis 500, you're really never going to see a field that stacked with cars. And it's something also, too, that I think is unique to this league. I mean, really, I think the max in official fixed series is probably about 26, maybe 27 cars. And it's something that we've been able to do and actually do quite well. We've had some pretty good racing here, and I think that really kind of goes back on the mindset of the drivers. I think the guys, they get it that the races are longer than official fixed races. We have about 2 to maybe 3 pit stops for the majority of our races. And guys, they want to take care of the car. They want to be there at the end. There's a lot of things at stake at the end of the season. Bragging rights. There's prizes. There's some trophies. There's all kinds of stuff that are up for grabs. And I just have a feeling that the general consensus is that the guys kind of feel obligated to one another to do good, to race each other clean, give each other some room. Certainly, though, that you do have some very friendly rivalries. There's some heated battles. It's very competitive racing, and I couldn't be happier with this group.
So you got a really nice website, lionheartracingseries.com, and it looks like you're pretty busy. I also saw this PDF where you have all kinds of information, track notes, information about the sponsor, the current roster, the teams and who is on the teams, the standings and the records and so forth, and even history of the series. So pretty cool that you actually track all that. Do you do all that yourself, or do you have help? Or
no, actually, we do it, but I have a really amazing group of guys. Like I said, my admin team, gentleman by the name of Patrick Taylor, he puts together these press kits, and these are actually sent over to our broadcasters, Global Sim Racing channel, because we wanted to add a little bit more to the broadcast. We wanted to give the broadcasters more information. We wanted to document the league because, again, being over 2 years now, we don't want to forget about our past, and we just thought it would add just another element to the broadcast to be able to pull up this information. We actually have another admin. His name is Jason Galvin, and he does our post-race stories, which actually get published on iRacing News. So it's another exciting thing. One of our other admins, Pierre Degle, he puts together the stats, who then gets transferred over to Patrick. We kind of have a well-oiled machine that it took a couple seasons to get there, but we've finally, we're firing on all cylinders, and we're just really, everyone is putting 110% effort to put forth the best product that we can, not only for us, but for the drivers in the series.
I tell you what, we talked to a lot of leagues here on the podcast, and I've never seen one so well documented. So congratulations.
Thank you
I think
so
that's
much.
great that you do that and put together these press kits. So you do broadcasting as well, and we were watching a video of that a minute ago. But I also see prizes and payouts, $1,125 total dollars available. Talk about that, and where does that money come from?
Well, Mike, actually, this is the thing again. Like I say, these guys, I'm telling you, they are some of the best guys you'll ever meet, not only as far as sim racers, but just people in general. We are so lucky that we actually, along with the admins, had all of our races sponsored by not only the admins, but also the drivers. The drivers literally stepped up, and we have a 22 race season that is fully broadcast, and that was mainly due in part to our members. I mean, they stepped up big time for us, and so basically what we did is we put 100% plus the entry fees from the drivers. We put it back into the prize pool. So they gave to us, and we give it right back.
Yeah, and you got other awards here like the Rookie of the Year, Driver of the Year, Cleanest Driver Award, and so forth.
Yeah, you know what? We just wanted to mix it up. I mean, again, we have some of the top guys from Official Fixed Racing. For example, 3 of our drivers swept the top 3 divisions in fixed IndyCar this last season. The league is so competitive, and you know what? We just wanted to add another element to give the guys something else to shoot for. Like, for example, the cleanest driver. That's something that we wanted to do to kind of help entice, those clean races, and we want to reward the guys who are really putting in the effort and working hard all season long.
Oh, real nice. And are the setups fixed or open or?
Yeah, the setups are fixed. It's something that depending on the track, because we don't always have a default iRacing setup available, we'll actually work together with the members and do setup testing where we'll kind of develop the setup together as a whole, and we'll kind of vote on it. We'll pick the set that we feel works best for the weather track combo, and that's pretty much how it's done. On rare occasions, we'll have a default setup that just works really well, and we'll go with that. And this way, it allows our guys a little bit more time to practice. Now, originally, when we conceived the league, our hope was to have somewhat of an intermediate type series where we would be able to have the use of some in-car tools such as the weight jacker, fuel mapping, and things of that nature. However, the only way currently that we would be able to do that was to have it a completely open setup series, and it's just not something that we were interested in doing at the time. Our hope is that one day iRacing will allow us to use the in-car tools without having to run our sessions as an open setup session.
Well, you must have been real jealous this last build when us NASCAR boys got the brake bias adjustment on our cars, even on fixed setups. That's an in-car adjustment. It sounds like what you're doing with the weight jacker and stuff is very similar. I don't know why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, we actually were lucky enough to get the brake bias adjustments as well. And so with that going through, my hope is that eventually they'll be able to open that up. Our other thought also was to be able to have multiple fixed setups. For example, you know how you can have a multi-class session where you add, you know, 3 or 4 GT cars and then you upload those setups. Well, my question to iRacing is why can't I essentially add, under session creation, 3 DW12s and 3 separate setups, so you could kind of really put a interesting mix of setups into the races, and,
Yeah,
and
you
I
have
think
like
it
a
would
high
play out very well.
downforce, a low
Yeah,
downforce, medium downforce. Yeah.
right. And that's the thing. I mean, I think that the pinnacle, of IndyCar racing on iRacing is the Open Series. I mean, it's really where you have to just have everything dialed in. But and the same token, so many guys who are getting into it are just they find difficulty in creating these setups, myself included. And so we wanted to create the series for the fixed driver who wants to come in and just use their hands and their feet. You know what I mean? And just get the most that they can out of the car without having to worry about the added challenge of creating setups.
Yeah, I'm a driver, not
Yeah,
an engineer.
yeah, correct. And so I think we kind of we found something with that, and also the fixed side is extremely popular, um, and I'm happy that we were able to kind of fill that void. Actually, when the DW12 first released on iRacing, there were other IndyCar leagues. However, I believe really we were the first DW12 IndyCar league on iRacing.
Nice. And a question on the name of your league is Lionheart IndyCar Series. Lionheart, that reminds me for some reason of Dan Weldon, the late Dan Weldon. Is that where the name comes from?
Yeah, that's correct. When we were first putting the league together, we were trying to come up with a name, something that would be, just memorable and stand out. And one of the guys that I was working with when we conceived the league, he actually was a very big Dan Weldon fan, and he suggested the name Lionheart. And honestly, we were like, wow, we couldn't have thought of a better idea. Let's pay tribute to Dan, a true IndyCar racer, and just a fantastic person. And so this was our way to kind of pay that homage and pay that tribute to Dan for what he brought to IndyCar racing.
Nice. Okay, so you're on Facebook.com/Lionheart Series, and then you also have your website, which is LionheartRacingSeries.com. So how do people get involved if they want to join you guys?
Yeah, we are always looking for drivers. Basically, you can just hop on our website, and there's right at the top of the screen, you'll see the contact tab. And from there, you'll see registration, and just click on that. Send us an email. There's a couple little questions that we'll have the guys fill out. And from there, we process those applications. We'll actually send you out a driver packet. So if, like, you guys have seen the press kit, we actually have a driver's guide as well, and we have a welcome letter, and we'll get the individual's email, and we'll send all those PDFs to you, and from there we'll send you an invite through our league page. Our roster is currently full, but however, we do invite everyone to join us for our many practice sessions and our Monday night practice races, so everyone can come in, from straight rookie all the way to alien. We want the guys who are interested in IndyCar to come and run with us, and we'll get a chance to know you, get a chance to know the guys, and I'm telling you, anyone who comes into this league is going to have a blast. We have some of the best guys out there, like I've said before. They're very welcoming, very friendly, and you're going to have a blast. So when spots do become available, that's what we do. We'll actually pick from those guys who are putting in the time and practicing with us, and we'll essentially kind of call those drivers up when spots are available. Now, we are getting close to the end of our season, so what we do is we'll actually pick drivers from within the league before we'll, do any advertising. And honestly, with thanks to, I believe, iRacing Live, the exposure is just more and more, and we're actually getting applications on a daily basis. So it's just been great. But yeah, go on the website, send us an email. I'll get all that information out to you, and we'll get you on track with us.
Well, very good, very good. Let's talk a little bit about your personal setup. What kind of wheels and pedals do you have, and how many monitors?
Yeah, right now, currently, I'm running a Thrustmaster T500 setup with the default or stock Thrustmaster pedals. I'm running the Formula One wheel for it. I absolutely love the wheel. I originally started with a very basic Thrustmaster wheel. I guess their most entry level one, and as I progressed a little bit, I just wanted to, step it up somewhat, and I found this one, and I've enjoyed it quite a lot. The force feedback on it is so much stronger than I think your entry level wheels. I love the fact that it's belt driven. There's a smoothness to the wheel, and then the fact that you can interchange the wheels, and for example, I have this Formula One wheel, which obviously is resembles the grip and the feel of an open wheel car, like the Indy car. Yeah, it's been great. I love it. And as far as monitors, I'm actually running triples. That was something that I upgraded to eventually as I got more involved with iRacing. But currently, I'm running three 27-inch monitors. They're great. It really is a game changer. So any drivers out there that are looking to, get better or just improve their overall racecraft, triple monitors, certainly, it's a game changer.
So I'm always the FOV police. You got your FOV set up right on those triples?
I think so. I merged the screen. I feel like when I sit down, that the perspective is right. I couldn't tell you the absolute numbers right now, but actually, I was at Milwaukee a couple years ago for the IndyCar race, and they had a DW12 out in the open for people to sit in, and I sat in this thing, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, this really looks exactly like it looks when I'm in the sim. It's definitely a testament to the work that iRacing has done to provide the most realistic racing sim on the planet. So I think my FOV is doing pretty good.
All right, good. What about third-party software? What do you run while you're racing?
You know what? Currently, I'm not running any. It's funny, like for example, our races, I'm using pen and paper, and I'm crunching numbers pre-race and sharing information with my team. But that's something moving forward for 2017 that I want to do. I know there's several different brands out there. I'm kind of talking to the guys, asking them what they use. Kind of interested in the Z1 software. But yeah, I would love to add a fourth monitor so I can have that data displayed and start learning how to use telemetry, because I think that it certainly would would help. Definitely.
I love
fuel
it.
Strategy and everything.
I have triples, but I also have a fourth, fifth,
Nice.
sixth, seventh monitor where I run third-party software. I think it helps.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, if anyone's out there, I'm looking for a full-time spotter for 2017. So we'll see. I've had some mixed results with spotters, but I think overall, if you get someone you really gel with, it can be an advantage. And that's definitely one of the things. Again, like I mentioned, with the competitive level of this league, guys are just when they get here and they see how things are run and the racing, guys just go all in. And I mean, you really have to put in a big effort to get up towards the front.
To be competitive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So if that'll help me one little bit, I certainly, I want to go to that next level. So I'm definitely looking for some software.
So you mentioned a team. Are you on a team? And tell us about that team. And in the league, is everyone on a team? How does that work?
Just about everyone's on a team. I believe there's maybe one or two guys that aren't on teams. I mean, we have a team championship, and you can follow the points on Dan Lisa. There is a small purse for for the overall team that wins, and we have a maximum of 5 drivers per team. The name of the team that I'm on is AGR Motorsports. I actually on that team with myself, one of the other admins, Jason Galvin, and another one of the drivers. His name is Jason Robarge. So it's Inzaldo, Galvin, Robarge. We just kind of kept it simple. Just a good group of guys. We work well together. And the teams are also pretty competitive. We've got our 2 strongest teams up there is Team Nailed It, actually owned by one of the 2-time champions in our series, Jesse Vincent, and then you have No Name Racing, who contains Joe Hassert. He's also a previous overall fixed IndyCar champion. Pierre Degle, he's one of our admins, and Jake Wright, also leading the championship. So the teams are quite strong. It's been fun. It's added another little bit of diversity to the series, which I think everyone enjoys.
All right, and then our final question: what's your most memorable iRacing moment?
That was a tough one, and I was thinking about that quite a bit. It's really a toss-up, probably between my very first win in iRacing, which was in the street stocks and USA Speedway, and the rookie side for me was just it was tough. How that goes with the wrecks and whatnot. But honestly, I really think was the very first win that I got in Lionheart, was at Iowa a year ago, and I've had already 50 plus starts. It's really tough to get a win in the series, and so when you do get one, it really means something. We've had guys like, for example, John Goke, who's his accolades. You could go on and on about his accomplishments in the official side of iRacing, but when he says that his wins, some of his wins are more meaningful than things that he's accomplished in the official side. I mean, it really it was very touching and really makes me feel good about what we've put together with the league.
Now, on your website, the lead story is Jonathan Goke has actually made his last start. What's that all about?
Yeah, you know what? He actually is getting deployed. He serves in the Air Force, so we definitely thank him for his service. And this is the second season in a row where, unfortunately, he's had to he's had to be deployed, but he's going to be back next season, and hopefully he'll be able to run the entire season out. And honestly, I think he would have given Jake a very good run for his money for the championship if he was able to put in the entire season's worth of racing.
Right. Well, we certainly thank him for his service as well. Absolutely. To our country, and hope he gets back with you guys soon.
Staff Sergeant Goke.
Very nice. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, George. We're going to jump into topics now, and we'll go through all those. Dave Smith, you joined as well. Let's jump to the next topic. Peak Antifreeze series happened, and our longtime guest, who's been on several times on the podcast, Logan Clampett, wins his first ever Peak Antifreeze series win. So congratulations to Logan. And boy, I was surprised about how much coverage this win got. I mean, it was everywhere. It was all over iRacing.
You go to Victory Lane.
Facebook, other websites covered the win as well. So I don't know if Logan had a hand in the promotion of that, but boy, we have more websites to look at about his win than we've ever had before. But I guess that's what happens with a first-time winner, and we're coming down to the end of the season. So, but congratulations to Logan. We know he belongs there, and he did a great job on that last restart, holding off some of the best. Ray Alfalo was right behind him, and he did a great job.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing for any of those drivers to make it to that level. It really shows the commitment that they've put into their craft. And I mean, these guys are the best of the best. So being able to score a victory like that is It's quite impressive.
Right. And so the last race of the season is in 2 weeks. And I believe there's a 5-point gap right now between Ray Alfala and PJ Sergio's. So, boy, it can't get much more exciting than that as we go into the championship here. But 5 points, Ray Alfala leads PJ by. So, boy, PJ's going to have a good race and finish ahead of Ray by a few spots, not very many, to win it.
And so what track are they going to next?
Let's see here. Well, the last one they just won was New Hampshire. I'm not sure where the next one is.
Should be Homestead, isn't it?
Homestead.
Yep, I think
know.
so.
Ooh, great track.
Yeah, that's where they finish it out.
Yep, Homestead.
Very nice. How are those drivers at those tracks? Do they have a history of being strong there?
Well, yeah, I mean, these guys are the best of the best. So,
yeah, very true.
And you got to remember, the winner of the championship, they get all kinds of stuff. They get $10,000. They get to go to the actual Homestead race for NASCAR at the end of the season and get presented, one of those big giant checks, and they get a ring, a special ring for their hand, and to get to meet the NASCAR guys, and it's quite an honor.
Yeah, and I think they should run a full season, just like us NIS guys do. Your top division in NIS, they just get a little certificate that says you won a championship. Whoopee! But they do more racing, harder racing, longer than the guys in the Peak Series do.
I have to agree with you, Dave. I think it would be a good idea to have them run a 36-week season like we do and make them earn it, right?
Exactly.
Some of those guys might not like that.
Well, I think it was about a year ago, they were talking about redoing how the Pro Series works and the Peak Series and all that. And I was pushing for that. I was like, hey, man, you guys should just use the NIS Series as the Peak Series, and this top split is top split, and those guys are the guys that are running for it.
Well, I don't like it when it rains, but you get used to it.
You got it.
Well, congrats to Logan Clampett, and he did a great job getting that win. We saw him running pretty well this last part of the season. He's had some top 10s, top 5s, and great win for him. So, Kyle, what's next?
Well, next is, we'll talk briefly about the Grand Prix Series. They didn't have a race this week, but next week they're going to have their season finale. And that's going to be taking place, and we're going to find out who's going to win the whole shebang. Who's going to bring home $10,000? Will it be Martin Kroenke or will it be Gregor Hutu?
Yeah, and the point gap, it looks like it's 17 to Kroenke. So Martin Kroenke's looking pretty good.
Yeah, they've been running top 5 with each other all season for the most part. So we'll have to see if one or the other can stretch out enough spots there to get the points, seal that deal.
I love this stat here. Martin Kroenke, average finish 1.8. And Gregor Hutu's 2.8. But man, that's pretty darn good. That's like finishing first or second every race.
It sure seems like it. Or at least in the top 5.
All right, so that'll be something to watch for as well. That's going to take place, what did you say, October 8th?
Yep, October 8th at 2 p.m.
Nice. And that'll be
10
at
a.m.
the
Eastern.
Circuit of the Americas, Austin.
Yep, and that's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. Let's jump to the next topic. NASCAR iRacing Series. Who wants to go first? Dave, tell us how you did.
Well, I was one and done. I showed up, ran fourth, packed up, and left.
So not your favorite track, or you just happy with fourth?
Oh, no, I love racing at Dover, but I wasn't going to overcomplicate things. So I had, my goal has been top fives, and so I ran the Wednesday Open, and I got my fourth place. I got my points, and on to the next one. And I decided to just kind of be lazy this week and not do a whole bunch of racing. So I did some truck racing early in the week, and then I went to Dover and got my race in and took the rest of the week off.
And you've had computer problems too, right?
Yeah, I had some computer issues with it overheating, but luckily it didn't affect my racing at all. But I got everything sorted out. Found out that my water cooler failed me, and my computer was running around 90°C at idle.
Man, that's hot.
Yeah, we got her all fixed up though. We're ready to go.
So let me ask you, when you got that fourth place, did you start from the pit like you usually do?
Yes, sir.
Well, did you go down a lap early or?
No, I was never a lap down.
Nice. Well, good run.
Thank you.
Kyle, how about you? How was your week?
You pretty much know how my week went. It was I ran here in the spring, and I fell in love with the place. I love this track, but I ran well. Had potential for some wins in the spring, and came spots short. Ran the Wednesday Open race, got door slammed to the wall, blew my motor, finished 28th. Ran the fixed race on Thursday, same thing, door slammed while I was on the inside of a guy. He came off the wall and took me out on the backstretch, finished 20th. Ran the Open again Friday, I believe it was, and got door slammed again into the inside wall on the backstretch, finished 12th in that one because of attrition. And then came the best race of the week last night. I decided I'd start on pit road for the fixed series, as I did Friday for the Open, and caught speeding trying to leave pit road on the initial start, so I had to come back in, serve a 15-second penalty, and went 4 laps down at that point. Came out just before the first caution of the race, got door slammed on the backstretch. Took 6 minutes and 6 seconds of optional repair. So I just decided to milk the repairs out through the race, and finally finished it up and got on the lead lap through lucky dogs and wave arounds and everything on lap 129, and ended up finishing 4th. I restarted at second place on the last restart with about 4 to go, I believe it was, but I burned up that right front tire trying to keep 3rd place behind me, so I'm happy with 4th place finish.
Nice.
Dover's a great track. We actually, Lionheart ran Dover last week.
Nice.
Pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, you've had some bad luck this week. It seemed like every race except for Sunday, you had blown motor like within the first 5 laps or something.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's what happens, and Talladega came out and I lost my brake pedal on my sim pedals there and had to take them out of service. Going back to the G27 pedals, I just struggle with them. With the sim pedals, you have them. Dave has his own set that he built himself, but they're hydraulic brake, and it's just nothing like using the G27 pedal. So I struggle with braking. I'm starting to get the hang of it now, but it's just not that real feel. And ever since Talladega, I've been in a downward spiral iRating wise, and I'm down here in these lower 1700 iRating splits, and I'm just getting chewed up and eaten.
Nice. Well, that was a heck of a run last night where you got was it 4th?
Yeah, 4th place. Yeah, and it was really exciting, and I appreciate you joining me there at the end and keeping the head cool.
Yeah, I mean, you were in position to win there. You were second on that last restart, and but it didn't work out. But hey, still a good run.
Yep, definitely.
Sounds like main performance needs to get off the pot and
get your
that
pedals
stuff
back.
fixed.
Yeah.
You got it, pal.
All right, I'll go next. It was a good week for me. Wednesday, P5. I mean, a top 5 for me in this series and the split I'm in, that's like a win. But there were some connection issues or server issues that night. There were many that got disconnected, but I wasn't one of them. The first green flag stop, I cooked it into pit road. The red car in front of me seemed to be kind of going slow coming in, so I kind of was going to go around him as I, and be real smart ass about it and just kind of pass him going into pit road. And boom, I got to the entry and completely missed it. So that lap time ended up being like 46 seconds. I had to come back around and pit, and this was under green. But somehow, some way, the cautions fell just right for me, and I got back on the lead lap and finished P5. So quite a race for me. That puts me 12. That's my 12th top 5 this year to go with my 2 wins, and I'm now 53rd in points overall and 40th in Division 1. So
not bad.
Thursday, I had a great top 10 going until some guy turned left in the middle of the straightaway and took me out. It turns out his screen went black or something. He had a hardware problem, and so I didn't really blame him for that, but I still finished 13th. He did PM me and apologize about that, and I appreciate that. Friday, not a great race. I spun off a couple times on my own, P17. Saturday, I made top split, both Brad Miller and I wrecked by myself twice again, just being loose on the late exit. I actually brought out 2 cautions, including the first one, which I hate to do, but I finished 21st. That would be the worst for the week. And then last night, for some reason, I ran top 10 all night. I just had a great race, and I finished 7th. So it was a good week. I liked it. I'm ready for Charlotte. I understand that drop weeks are going to start counting after Charlotte. So hopefully I will move up in the points after those drop weeks kick in. So
it's good to see you finally get a comfortable week where you're actually comfortable at a track and able to just kind of ride.
Well, yeah, the last like 4 or 5 weeks I've just struggled, it seems like. So yeah, I'm happy. Carlos, how did you do?
I don't know. I wasn't supposed to race this week, but I did. Open only. I didn't do no fakes. I finished 7th in both. One was a top split in the middle of the day, 7th, and it was a lot.
That's a good run.
It was a lot like the Real Cup race. Only 6 cars on the lead lap, so I was the first one lap down.
Well, top splits, top 10. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it was a low SOF top split, but still, the setup I had was great. It was just one I had from last time. It was similar to the one you guys ran, but not the same. And if I could have got that thing turning, I probably would have been one of the cars on the lead lap. But that's really the only reason. It's just being slower than them. It wasn't slow. It just wasn't as quick as they were.
Right.
So 2 7s, I'll take it.
Yeah. So I think we were all running different sets. I ran Brad Wren's hot set from the spring race, and it worked out pretty good for me, but you ran something different.
It was funny because both opens that I did were almost identical in weather. So I ran the same one that I ran on Wednesday. Or Thursday, actually.
I ran my fall setup from last year.
And that worked okay?
Yeah, I just had to make a couple tweaks to it in practice, but for the most part, it was spot on. It drove just like it did last year, and it was a good set.
I'm actually thinking about it. Thursday afternoon, I ran some set from last year or whatever, one of the Brad ran ones that we had. It was Friday nights where I changed things up and ran one I've been working on that was kind of miserable. You didn't want to touch it in anything over 95 or something like that. Just so loose and so bad, but yeah, I don't know. It still ended up getting real tight on that race anyway.
Oh right. Man, my setup was awesome. It started out tight, but after you got 10, 15 laps on it, the thing came alive and it just go where you wanted to put it. And I'd be able to make up spots over. I mean, we had a couple, I'd say medium runs, and I was able to pick up spots every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I said there was one thing I did. I don't know what I did to it in the middle of the race, but it got so loose. I think it was just something to do with staying out. It was only like 8 or 9 laps on the tires, but I stayed out and just kept going back and back, and there was no yellow from, I think, lap 60 to lap 200. So it was like a 140 lap run.
So let's talk real quick about dynamic track and rubbering in and marbles. Did you guys find additional grooves at Dover, or was it just always stick to the bottom? What did you guys think?
Well, myself personally, I was running for the first, I don't know, say 10 laps of a run. I was running that bottom groove. But there was a couple times where I would actually move up to where I would let the car kind of slide out on entry to where it went up to the middle or even top groove.
Then come back
And
down,
then I'd
right?
turn it, and then I'd turn it back down the track, and I just put it to the floor. I mean, I was full throttle from middle off doing that, and I was able to get such a good run down the straightaways that I could catch up to the guy I was chasing, and then when I got to him, I could just turn down below him, and I was able to pass him.
Yeah, there was like no.
I've seen a lot of people doing that diamonding thing, and I was talking to Kyle about that last night, and neither him or I can figure out how to do that. If I float up in the middle, I can't get the car to cut back down.
Oh yeah, mine was like all accidental running that kind of line, just because it wouldn't turn, it drifted up, and then you just have to change your strategy mid-corner and come back down like Dave was doing.
Brakes, brakes, brakes. To go fast, use your brakes.
Now, are you dragging brake through the corner?
No, but if you don't use your brakes right, when you're going down into a corner, if you don't, first of all, you've got to have the setup to do it, to where when you get on the brakes, the car does what you want it to. So when you're going down in the corner and you get on the brakes, it sets the front end of that car. So your front end geometry's got to be right. You can't have a car that's going to bottom out when you're getting on the brakes going down in the corner. But when you're going down in the corner and you get on your brakes and the car takes a set, you're able to do that kind of stuff. It's one of the things that I've told my brother Kyle, numerous times. As absurd as it may sound, to use your brakes and you'll go faster. I mean, that's just the way this car is. This new package on this car is it's got less downforce, so it's going faster in the straightaways, but it doesn't have the downforce to make the corner. So you got to get the car set up and use your brakes to get the car to turn. Like I think it was Auto Club, early in the year, where you went there and everybody was complaining it was tight. The car drove like junk. But if you used your brakes and got the car set right getting into the corner, you got around there no problem.
Yeah, you can't drive it like you did last year, right?
I don't know.
Right, where you just lift off and roll through the corner and then just put it back to the floor.
The Auto Club. Go on.
I'm happy that you actually have to use your brakes when you get down to the end of the straightaway to make the car turn. That just makes it more in the driver's hands. It's not just even like in a fixed setup. Instead of just going down to into the corner and you just let off the gas and you coast through the corner without using any brake, there's actually some skill involved now, and I think that helps make the competition a little bit better, because you got better racing when you've got different ways of doing things.
Right.
I mean, if there's only one way of going down in the corner and everybody's doing it, well then, how competitive is that going to be, or how good is the racing going to be? And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why the racing has been so good this year, is because of a lower downforce package, and it offers different ways to drive the car than it in years past.
Well said.
So George, how you guys just went to Dover in the IndyCar? Did you guys find additional lines, or?
You know what? Yes. Obviously, like you guys were saying, the low line, was king. But we found that towards the middle of our run, the tires, we were getting some considerable wear, and the push got real. So some guys were working the middle to high groove, and we had some good green flag runs. However, being that tight, that many cars, we did have some incidents. And kind of going back to what you were saying as far as like connection issues, I think three of our cautions were caused due to net code. And it's just one of those unfortunate things. I don't know if it was something, with this track in particular, with that many cars, but certainly was something we experienced. But yeah, for the most part, the guys were running the low to kind of mid groove there throughout the green flag runs.
Nice. All right, let's move on. Kyle, what's up next?
Well, next to be the patch that was released actually this past Thursday. iRacing took down the site to release Season 4 Patch 3. And basically all that was in this one was road car changes. They did change a misspelling in the NASCAR side on all 3 trucks. But the other things were like the pit limiter for the Audi Quattro, for the accuracy and everything. It's just minor little changes.
Really nothing to speak of, but I'm kind of surprised by the lack of release notes. I mean, it seems like real minor stuff that they fixed.
Yeah, it almost seems like something they probably could have held off till, a bigger release.
Right.
Actually, the tire wear, we're feeling a little bit more on the IndyCar side. We've been noticing it too as we're testing for Laguna Seca, our upcoming race. It seems that the tire wear is a little bit more, significant than in the past few builds.
Interesting.
Yeah. So within a few laps, we're down to about 90%, whereas before you could go 10, 12, laps, 13 laps, and you're around, 95% tire wear. So car gets a little bit more slippery as as you get down to the end of your run.
Nice. All right, so next up on the topics, I think it was the most popular thing this last week that iRacing posted, but they posted up a picture of a sprint car at Eldora Speedway, and the internet blew up. Everyone is excited about this, I tell you.
Oh, those weren't just
over
the internet that blew up.
3,400 likes on that Facebook post.
I think it's something that a lot of people have been excited about for a long time. They want the dirt.
Oh, man. And looking at the picture and looking at the dirt itself, I'm amazed that you can see like the tire tracks in the dirt, and you can see where the treaded tire is leaving those tracks like you would expect, like in mud or dirt. But boy, it's exciting.
It is, and just kind of again going back to the open wheel side of things. I mean, that style of racing is where a lot of the guys like Andretti, Foyt, those guys they started off in those forms of racing and eventually made their way up. But myself included, I'm very excited. I definitely want to try my hand at it. It certainly is going to be a interesting challenge.
So you ever going to run the Indy cars at Eldora?
Ooh,
could be fun.
We could try. I don't know if we'll
with the slick tires and boy, man,
that would be a blast.
We got to try it.
It might turn into a demo derby, but
we got to try every car on the dirt.
Right,
I'm sure.
Right.
Honestly, it wouldn't be too bad if you think about it. If you just take and dial out some of that rear wing and dial in the front wing, you'll be able to
pin down the front, right?
Possibly.
Yeah, pin down the front. You'll be able to get that rear end to slide around.
Maybe we'll make that our all-star race for the season.
That's a great idea.
Well, they talked a little bit in the commentary with the picture about the track will constantly change and react based on the cars. Not yet visible, but almost ready will be the accumulation of loose dirt and a cushion. So I know if you're not familiar with dirt racing, lots of times the dirt builds up against the wall and develops what's called a cushion. And a lot of people run up there towards the end of the race because there's more grip.
Well, Mike, something that we have been seeing, like you said, with the accumulation is, again, we're practicing for Laguna Seca, and so you've got guys at the top of the hill, they're spinning, and the whole track is surrounded by dirt and sand, and so some sections of the track you can literally see that yellow sand just building up, and as guys are driving through it, you see that sand starting to dissipate a little bit, and you see the groove kind of coming back in. It's really neat what they're doing.
Yeah, it's really coming together good.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, what's next?
Sorry, I had to cough there. Next is the iRacing meetup at Atlanta.
Yeah, iRacing posted a picture. A bunch of iRacers got together at the real Road Atlanta race this last week. IMSA, I believe, was there, or was it the Mazda? But that guy, Glenn McGee, who's the Mazda driver, he was there as well. And looks like they had about a dozen, 15 people or so.
Yep.
Very cool.
So I've always tried to get involved with meetups, and I never can get anybody to show up. I did a meetup with the West Club once, and only one other guy was there besides me. So
this year we actually had about 9 guys from our league meet up for the Iowa IndyCar race, and it was a blast. It's great, getting to meet some of these guys face to face that you're racing with and talking to day in, day out. So that was a lot of fun.
nice. Okay, next up was a video iRacing put out with Will Vincent, who's the announcer at Race Spot. He does a Q&A with senior animator David, and it's just one of those short little funny videos, 25 seconds or something. And yeah, what did you guys think of that? Did you see it?
I didn't even watch it, to be honest with you.
I wasn't really impressed. I mean, they've done these videos before and they've been kind of funny. This one didn't even make me laugh, but
I've seen one of the other ones that he did in the past.
I think that one where the guy walked through the lobby and he picked up the plant that was sitting in the corner so he could get to the dirt. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, what you got next?
Next up is actually a really, really good article by Commodore's Garage number 9 talking about bump springs, and lays it out on how they work.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. They're doing a whole series of how to do setups and stuff. And boy, if you're wanting to learn, this is some good reading. I tell you what. I mean, it's detailed. I started reading some of it, and it's a little bit over my head, because I'm not really a setup guy. But if you're wanting to learn about setups, this is a great place to start. It's iRacing.com, and look around there for the articles, and you'll find it.
Yeah, I know Dave plays with those bumps a lot. Maybe, I don't know if you've read that yet, but might want to look into that.
All right, next up is iRacing employee David Tucker was commenting on some netcode problems that people were putting in the forum. People were kind of complaining about there's too much netcode, and he actually took a moment to write down kind of how it works. And I'm just going to read an excerpt of that because I thought it was interesting and kind of gives you an idea about what this netcode thing's all about. So I'm going to read it here. It works like this. There are 3 parts to the race: the sim running on your computer, the sim running on their computer, the other driver, and the server. The server is just a bookkeeper. It does not run the physics, or it just runs minimal physics. The job is to listen for position updates from all the clients, pack them up, and transmit them out to everyone in the most efficient manner. The physics run on both your computer and your competitor's computer. He has the master copy of his car. You have the master copy of your car. He is running prediction code trying to guess where your car is based on stale position data. You're running prediction code trying to guess where his car is based on stale prediction data. So basically there are 2 copies of his car and 2 copies of your car. And there's no way for us to show you all 4 cars at once, so we just pick the best copy, your local car and his local car, and that is that. So he's talking about latency and they're trying to figure out and extrapolate where the car is going to be, even though they don't know where, because there's the latency. Latency could be up to a half second. And so iRacing has to tell the competitors where your car is, so it kind of has to guess based on the direction of travel you were going, the speed you were going, the grip level that you have at that moment, and all those other things. It tries to figure that out and kind of put that car in the right spot, if that makes sense.
And I'm sure it has to work even harder when you have 30 plus cars on track.
Well, exactly. He just, broke it down to 2 drivers, but yeah, when you put 30 or 40, it just multiplies it as much. In fact, he says right here, this gets messier when you have 30 cars running in a pack. Now you don't just have 2 copies of each car, but 30 of each car. So 900 copies, which is 30 times 30, each doing a slightly different thing, or almost 4,000 cars in a maxed out server.
Yeah, it's one of the unfortunate things to iRacing that I guess, I'm not sure if there's a fix anywhere in the near future.
Well, and that's what he kind of went on to say is, it is what it is, and it's not going to get any better. They're doing everything they can.
I think I heard somewhere that someone was talking with a real world driver who was, trying iRacing, and they asked, what's the difference? What's the similarities? And the subject of the net code came up, and one of them was that in the real world you can actually get closer to the car, than in the sim because of things such as net code.
Yep. All right, Kyle, I think final topic. What do you got?
Well, the final topic's actually a listener comment asking us for some feedback. So I'll read it off here to you. It says, I love your show / podcast. I consider it the only podcast currently running for iRacing that is listenable. I commend your efforts, and I love that you made it a weekly show. As a newer iRacing subscriber, I find there are several times that I've found myself at a point where I'm unsure of what my next move should be. I am currently at one of those crossroads, and it led me to thinking about how it could be beneficial to work in some stuff from your listeners that are still early on in their path through iRacing. My current situation lands me in arriving at a C license with roughly a 1450 iRating. I've made my way through rookies and continue to race street stocks while also running the K&N National Series. I've enjoyed it, and aside from the roller coaster of gaining IR only to lose it because of an inescapable accident in front of me that ruins a race, I'm having a blast. So now that I've reached C, I have a few more options available. I'd say for the most part I'm looking at truck fixed, C Cup fixed, or Indy Oval. The C level brings out an interesting spin of having cautions impossible, or maybe necessary in some cases like C Cup, pit stops. I can honestly say that it's intimidating making this jump with having that hard-earned iRating on the line. Right now I'm typically in second-ish split in National Series, and I'm very thankful to have achieved the iRating to get me there and away from the majority of the crazies. I realize you've been around for a while, but I'd be interested to hear you and your teammates' opinions on my next move. Do I dive in and go for it, realizing that it will be a learning process? I assume going with C truck fixed is likely the best route because the races are still short enough that a green flag pit stop is not needed. What should a goal be for IR going into the next step? Thanks for taking the time to read this. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. I realize this is all searchable on the forums, but sometimes it's nice to hear responses from someone that can relate to it as being a real person as opposed to just a name on the screen. So that was sent in by Scotty Reinshield. I apologize if I got your last name there wrong, but what do you think, guys? What kind of advice can we give for him?
Well, I'm glad George is here so he can give us the IndyCar story. George, why don't you start first? What would you tell this guy?
Well, you know what? IndyCar can definitely be quite challenging, and on the official fix side of things, it can get a little hairy. What I would suggest to him is, hey, come and try out our league. You can actually practice with a bunch of very good drivers. without the fear of losing iRating, and maybe get himself very comfortable to where he'd be ready to compete in the official side of things. The other thing I would tell him is that, hey, you know what? Don't stress out too much about the iRating. Practice more on the racecraft. Get comfortable with the car. Join some of the hosted sessions that guys are putting up, and just go for it. I mean, racing is racing. There's going to be things, like he says, that are inevitable, that are out of your control. There's always that unknown element, but I wouldn't focus so much on the iRating. Just go out there and try to have a clean race. Be prepared for pit stops. Yes, the official side has your slew of cautions, but you're going to get that one where you're going to have that green flag run, and if you've been practicing those quick pit entries, you might just put yourself in a position to win some races.
Absolutely. So, Dave, what about the NASCAR side if he went that way?
Well, one of the big takeaways that I always try to drive home is seat time. Seat time, seat time, seat time. The more you drive, the more you're going to get comfortable, the better you're going to do. So as far as the iRating side of things, the way I always look at it, when I'm in a race, I look at my car number. I see my car number as a 17. Okay, I want to finish better than my car number. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't matter, if it's, 10th, 15th, as long as it's not worse than 17. That's my first goal getting into a race. But you got to be comfortable. Hosted sessions can be your friend in some aspects. Now, the racing and hosted sessions can be a little bit crazier because you don't got safety rating and iRating counting. But one thing that you can take from a hosted session is seat time and driving around other drivers. The other thing that you can do is get into the open practice sessions. You get into the open practice sessions, you're going to be on track with other drivers, and you can take and you can do things like watch other drivers live when they're making their laps, and you can take and like go in the cockpit view, and you can watch their line and how they're getting around the track. But it goes back to seat time. The more seat time you get, the more comfortable you'll be, and the iRating will. I used to be petrified of losing iRating, but I've gotten to the point where I just don't care. If I'm not having fun, what's the point? So your iRating, it's going to fluctuate. It's going to go up and down. Your iRating is not the almighty number that says you're a bad driver or not. Don't worry about it. Go have fun and just get laps.
Nice. Well, Kyle or Carlos, do you have any more input there?
I'll put a little in. Now, as many of the listeners know, Dave's actually my brother. He's got about 2 years on me on iRacing, and I think I've had it drilled into my brain more times than I care to realize that I've heard that seat time thing over the course of the last 4 years more than probably anybody. And he's right. All you got to do is just log laps. That's it. As far as the car number, yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, if you join a race and you're car number 1, that doesn't mean you have to be number 1 at the end of that race. The main key is to ride clean, and you'll gain a lot more respect that way. If you got a guy that comes up behind you and he's obviously quicker, move it to the side, let him by. Hey, take me on the low or take me on the high on the radio, and he'll pass you, and you'll gain the respect of him. And you never know, that guy might give you a setup at the end of the race. You join these open practices, like Dave was saying. A lot of the guys are there they'll help you. You're gonna run into your typical characters that don't want to help you out, but for the most part, if you jump in those sessions, you can get a lot of feedback. If you're running oval, there's a setup. Can't remember what that thing's called right now off the top of my head, but there's a setup guide out there that'll help you with some of the tweaks and stuff you could do with the car. But for the most part, the iRating, yeah, it's nice because it bumps you up into the splits and all that stuff. But me personally, I don't worry as much about that as I do about having fun. I mean, that's my main goal. I know when I first joined the service, it was, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta go, I gotta win, you know. And after listening to the seat time preach over and over again, I realized that it's a little bit more fun when you sit there and you run back there in like 20th place, like I do now in iRacing. I start from pit road and I just grind it out. And like last night, I finished in 4th place. Why? Because I just sat there with my 2X incident and I rode out the race and let faster cars by me. And at the end of the race, I was in 4th place. So if I had any advice to give, I would just say log the laps, be clean, let faster guys by, and most of all, just have fun.
Carlos, you have anything else?
Let's see. Going back to that topic of the C-Fix trucks that you was kind of talking about. I don't know. If you can find a way to bypass that series, do it. But if not, if you're going to enter them, that's actually a really good way. That's actually a really good way to learn wreck avoidance.
Yeah, I mean, I
I'm
ran
sorry,
a
but
lot
those trucks are fun.
They're fun until you
ran
get wrecked every
Cs.
freaking race.
It's you're right, Carlos. In a way, I ran C fixed for the first 2 years there, and I had a lot of fun. But it was also really frustrating because you got the guys down there that's where they stay because they wreck all the time. So they don't ever get their license up to be able to run the other cars. But it all goes back to patience and riding clean, wreck avoidance, like you said.
Yeah, that was just my bad experience. I had every single race, but you know, when I was coming up through everything, there was no fixed series. It was just open, and I don't know. It was really fun back then.
I'll jump in here. So if you want to go to the NASCAR side, what I did was I got to the C trucks and I just ran it long enough to get to the A license. And I completely bypassed the B car. I didn't even buy the B car until a couple years into my iRacing account. As I worked my way up, my goal was always the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. So I was just trying to get to that A license so I could run that series.
Oh, you missed out on the best version of the B car.
Yeah, so I just skipped the B. I just skipped it. I did use the C as my, okay, I'm going to sit here and drive safe and gain that safety rating and fast track myself up to A. And then once I was in A, I ran A. I've been running A car ever since. So I don't really run trucks or anything else anymore. I just run the A car, and if that's where you want to be, that's a good way of doing it. You know, it's just get your safety rating up. And what that means is don't worry about your IR or don't worry about where you finish. Just worry about running clean and not having any, incidents. And that will get you the A license. And then once you get into the car you want to be in, then you can start working on I rating and finishes and that kind of thing. But you got to get there first. So that's my thing.
Yeah, you definitely have to make it to the end, right? In order to win. You got to be there.
You got to finish before you can win, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's why, racing those trucks is almost a necessary evil. If you can make it to the end of a truck race, well, then, that's a good experience. I mean, yeah, you're going to have bad experiences racing those trucks. But, at the end of the day, those things are fun. And, you can get a lot of confidence getting into those trucks and be able to, wheel them and get up there and be, racing in the top 3 and fighting for a win. Yeah, you might get wrecked out running 3rd, but, you get confidence, being able to be up there and run. And I think Carlos said something about wreck avoidance, and yeah, you'll get your wreck avoidance practice, but, at the end of the day, if you're here to have fun, those trucks are a good way to go.
Yeah, and I think when I came up, I learned a lot of my racing craft and as you would speak in that truck series before I even got to the A car. You learn about the tracks. You you get familiar with the schedules and whatnot, and then you move on. So, all right,
Well,
let's jump into final thoughts. Kyle, you're up first.
Charlotte's next, and we're ready. We had a good run in there at the Coke 600. I can't wait for it. Put this horrible week ahead behind me and look forward to the future. We got the World Cup coming up here in a couple weeks, so just wanted to put a quick note out there. Next week we're going to have a guest on that's going to talk about this World Cup. The participation for it's been going down quite a bit since they put it out. It's just every year it kind of goes down a little bit. So we're going to have a guest on next week and try to clear up some information on it, and hopefully more people will understand what it's all about and race for your club, and we'll see you next week.
Nice. Dave Smith, what do you got?
well, I'm ready to go to Charlotte, and I plan on taking my Chicago set there. I think that'll transfer over quite well, and if it does, good luck to everybody I see this week.
Nice. George and Zaldo, thanks for joining us. What's your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is, well, certainly I want to thank you all for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And basically just want to say, hey, anyone interested in running some IndyCar, give us a look up on our website and come check us out and watch us on Wednesday nights at 9:50 Central. I think you guys will have a blast. It's some pretty exciting, fun racing, and yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Carlos, final thoughts.
What were we saying about Charlotte?
That's next.
Yeah, I was supposed to take a whole bunch of time off of NIS, but these freaking tracks I don't like keep coming up, so I'm never gonna get a break.
The season's
yeah.
almost over. You might as well keep running.
Hey, I'm skipping Martinsville. Screw that track. And
Bring it on.
Yeah, whatever.
I can't wait for Martinsville. Oh,
anyways,
love me some Martinsville.
also yeah, my best track is this week, so looking forward.
Nice. All right, and my final thoughts are: I'm looking forward to Charlotte. Dover was a good week for me. I'm hoping to continue that streak and get some more top fives, and I'm really looking forward to the drop weeks kicking in to see if I make a considerable jump in the points. I'm a little concerned that last year I finished top 20 overall in the NIS Open, and I'm way off from that right now, but I've been running about the same. But I think it's because the drop weeks haven't kicked in, and I think once that does, I should jump up into the points, because I've made every start every week, and some of the people I'm racing for haven't. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. Also, our team, Tifosi, is currently recruiting drivers. We are picky as heck, though. But if you think you got what it takes and you're going to fit in with us, feel free to speak up and hit us up, and we'll check it out. So we're always interested in taking on new people. So if you're looking for a team and you're into NASCAR, the A car, you run the NASCAR iRacing series, you might be a good fit. So, and with that, it's over. We'll see ya.
See ya.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge. Follow on Twitter and Facebook at iRacers Lounge and SoundCloud at iRacers Lounge. See you on the track.